6-minute podcast. Business, study, life.
Okay, so today we're diving into driverless cars.
Yeah, driverless vehicles.
All this stuff you keep seeing everywhere.
Autonomous vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. And I know, you're probably thinking like,
Right.
What is the real deal here?
Is this hype?
What are the genuine advantages?
Or is this the future?
Yeah. And where are the possible problems that we really need to be thinking about?
Exactly. The pitfalls.
Yeah. So what we want to do today in this deep dive is give you a clear view of kind of the core arguments here around autonomous vehicles based on this analysis that we've been looking at.
Exactly. We're going to cut through the hype
Yeah.
and try to give you the essentials.
Yeah. So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
Okay. So first up, safety.
Okay.
The analysis points out over 90%
90%.
of car crashes
Wow.
are due to human error.
Human error.
So think about it. I mean, how often do accidents happen?
Right.
Because someone's distracted,
Well, yeah.
looking at their phone.
A quick glance at a text.
And rear end someone.
Boom.
Right.
A fender bender.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that autonomous emergency braking, that can react way faster than a human.
Absolutely. It's all about reaction time.
Yeah. And could prevent that whole thing.
Prevent that collision from ever happening.
Totally. I mean, it's really about taking those human frailties
Exactly.
out of driving.
Got it.
Okay. So that leads us to the idea of increased mobility.
Right.
And this isn't just like, oh, it's convenient.
No.
This is about real independence for people who can't drive.
Huge.
Think about elderly individuals or people with disabilities.
Absolutely.
Suddenly they're able to go where they want to go.
Freedom.
Yeah, it's huge.
Right.
I mean, that could be a major societal shift.
Total.
If we're not limited by who can drive.
Think about the access.
Yeah, access to work.
Healthcare, social connections.
Exactly. All that stuff.
It's amazing.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about traffic.
Right.
Which anybody who drives in a city is like, oh, I'm interested in this.
Especially rush hour.
Yeah. So less congestion
Less congestion.
is the big promise with driverless cars.
That's the hope.
So how would that actually work?
So this is where the idea of platooning comes in.
Platooning?
Yeah. So imagine vehicles all talking to each other wirelessly.
Okay.
And they're traveling really close together.
Okay.
Like a tight formation, like a convoy.
So like a synchronized convoy of cars.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that allows them to just maximize the space on the roads that we already have.
Okay, so you get more cars in
More cars.
less space between them.
Moving faster.
And faster travel times for everybody.
Boom.
That makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so and then there's the environmental benefits that are tied to that efficiency.
For sure.
Right.
Smoother driving means less wasted gas.
So you're saying smoother driving?
Yeah, less stop and go.
Oh, okay, so less acceleration.
Exactly.
And deceleration.
Okay, so smoother.
Yeah, think about it like a hypermiler.
Less gas used.
Lower emissions.
In lower emissions.
Okay, so it can help with the green transportation.
A greener transportation future.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the upsides seem pretty good.
Right.
But what about the potential downsides?
Right. What about the other side of the coin?
Okay, so let's talk about job losses.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah, because if we have all these driverless trucks.
Yeah, truck drivers, ride sharing,
delivery drivers.
What happens to all those people?
Exactly. It's a massive potential job displacement.
Yeah. So we got to figure out how to deal with that.
We've got to prepare for that future.
And then even though safer roads are like the goal, it's not perfect, is it?
This tech isn't flawless, no.
So even though it takes out human error,
right,
it introduces new risks.
It does. Like
think about a sensor.
Okay.
That's obscured by bad weather.
Oh, so like rain or snow or something.
Right, or even just dirt.
Oh, yeah.
And that could lead to a malfunction.
And then what happens?
Right now, the data actually shows a higher accident rate per mile.
Really?
For self-driving cars.
Higher?
And for human drivers.
Wow.
But it's important to note that this is partly because of very rigorous reporting.
Okay.
And the fact that a lot of these vehicles are being tested in really complex urban environments.
Right, where there's tons of stuff going on.
Tons of pedestrians, cyclists, other vehicles.
That makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so that's something to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
And then there's just the cost.
Yeah.
This stuff's expensive.
It is.
All the research.
Development, deployment. It's a massive investment.
And then what about the infrastructure?
Oh, yeah, we're going to need upgrades.
So it's not just the cars themselves.
Right.
It's like the whole system.
Exactly. Think about roads,
Traffic signals.
communication networks.
All that stuff.
All of it has to be upgraded to support this.
Wow. So that's going to cost a lot of money.
Big time.
Yeah. And finally, there's all the legal questions.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Like, who's responsible
Liability.
if a driverless car causes an accident?
Huge question.
Right.
Who's at fault?
Yeah. Is it the person in the car?
Is it the manufacturer?
Is it the software developer?
Is it the city?
I mean, this is new territory.
Uncharted waters.
Yeah. So these are all things that
No, legal system
our legal system
has to figure out.
has to figure out.
As this technology gets more and more advanced.
So we got all this exciting potential.
Yeah.
Safer, more efficient
Important.
transportation.
Increased mobility.
But we're also facing, major economic challenges.
Safety cost and legal hurdles.
Based on this analysis.
Absolutely, based on what we've seen.
Yeah, so this is a complicated issue.
It's a complex equation.
With a lot of moving pieces.
A lot of moving parts.
And how this technology develops is really going to depend on
how we navigate all these challenges.
How we navigate all these challenges.
Yeah.
All right, well, this has been a really interesting,
insightful,
deep dive, I think, into driverless vehicles.
Driverless vehicles.
Yeah, a lot to think about.
A lot to consider.
But here's a final thought for you.
Okay.
As this technology keeps developing,
keeps advancing,
what do you think is going to be the absolute make or break factor?
The one thing.
The one thing.
That determines its success or failure.
Yeah. What do you think? All right, we'll leave you with that.
Food for thought.
Until next time.
See ya.
6 Minute Podcast.